Anything you want to talk about in terms of the higher ed rev? And then there's just one article that I'd like to discuss and sort of what it means.
So now, as far as the higher ed revolution goes, there's a I love promoting also other publications. So there's a new publication called Student Voices, really interesting publication. Oplerno has been asked to write something for them, so of course we've submitted something to them. Yeah, interesting upcoming. So if you want more information, send me an email or tweet me or something like that. But higher ed revolution, fantastic. We're going well. We have over close to 1,500 people. Yeah, I'm amazed. I've also asked for new writers to come on board, or put out a call for new writers to come on board. So if you have something that you want to write, or you have something interesting subject you want to discuss, whether it's about your course, whether it's about another interesting subject on higher education, then you're very welcome to submit it, and we'll publish it in Higher Ed Revolution and give it out to the 1,500 readers and our 4,500 followers on our various Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and everywhere. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and I really notice now, say the power of if we tweet something out or if we send out a message or whatever, really see how many people actually come back and react to that, and they're actually getting a lot of feedback, and that's really nice. So yeah, anybody's welcome to write and submit something to that.
Great. Yeah, Higher Ed Rev is excellent. I like reading it, and it's my main Medium feed. And yeah, check it out. There was an article that that's been popping up a lot, which is a discussion that Harvard is having about making their tuition free. Harvard being a free tuition place. That's a really great thing for Harvard. But one thing that they didn't kind of say is, how much does it cost to make a new seat at Harvard? In other words, when a student is admitted, what's the infrastructure cost to have a student to add a seat at Harvard? Okay, so in other words, you've got to build a physical plant. You've got to make sure they've got a chair at the cafeteria. You have to make sure that they've got a dorm room. You have to make sure that they've got, the athletic facilities and all those extra particular things, internet bandwidth. Well, the calculation is roughly, it costs $1 million to add another seat at Harvard for an undergraduate. Now, I think it's wonderful. Harvard is one of the wealthiest institutions, if not the wealthiest institution in the country in terms of its endowment. And with that endowment money and basically, their endowment is like a hedge fund. They're making a lot of money on all kinds of different investments that they then pour back into the institution. It is great that they are going to potentially make their enrollment free. They can do that with their large endowment. Are they going to be expanding their enrollment of Harvard? Are they going to add, for Harvard to add another 1,000 people? That would be an investment of potentially $1 billion just for 1,000. And there were big battles at Harvard when they increased their undergraduate enrollment just a little bit by 100 or so, which happened, I think, a decade or so ago. And when you think about just adding 100 students or adding 1,000 students to an educational institution like that, when you have 1 billion people who want access to higher education and better education, I think it's great that Harvard is potentially going to make it free for everybody, but that's free for an incredibly small percentage of the population. And it's also free to an incredibly small percentage of the population who already are going to do probably quite well in terms of their social, economic, and political opportunity, and their social, political, and economic capital they have access to. So everybody's going to be talking about how this is a great move by Harvard, but let's realize that nothing is free, that the money has to come from somewhere. And what we should be concentrating on is stuff like Oplerno is doing, which is let's create the most open system possible, where there's a lot of information about the faculty, where there's a lot of information about the courses you're going to be taking, and there's a lot of choice for students so they can find exactly what they want and exactly what they need at the lowest cost. If Harvard would like to write Oplerno a check for $1 million, we can certainly deploy that in a way that will get things hopping for a lot more than one undergraduate student. So that's kind of my take on the article. It was a nice piece, but it was sort of like, they're already, it's not going to cost anything for Harvard. It's going to cost Harvard some money, but it's not a really huge push in terms of revolution in education.